Okay, we got one, we got two, three people.
Hi guys, today I'm going to be talking about childhood diabetes. Did you know that 0.25% of America's youth has diabetes? This isn't the type of diabetes that you get from being fat or eating too much fat, which is part of the reason why childhood diabetes is so difficult, not only physically but mentally. Mentally, a kid has to go through, from personal experience, they have to go through every time they go out and play. They have to make sure their blood sugar doesn't get too down, so then they have to eat. They have to eat way more than most kids. They have to test more than most kids, which your fingers start to hurt after that. But it's the reaction they get from other kids. What is that? Why do you have to do that? Or from other adults. I don't know how many times I have gone to a store and a person's like, oh, you don't want to eat that, you'll get fat and you'll get diabetes. Well, one, I was only like 90 pounds because I was 9. 2, I already have diabetes. So the fact that I'm getting a candy bar has nothing to do with me fat or diabetes. It's me getting my blood sugar up so I don't pass out in the aisle. The physical parts of diabetes for a child is hard enough. But to take society's criticism is far worse. According to Americans Association of Diabetes, 99.3% of Americans have diabetes, and that's type 1 diabetes. There are two types of diabetes. That's 1.25 million people. And on top of that, according to type 1 everydaymagic.com, that 1.4 million people get it every single year. Every person you pass, you are not going to know who they are or why they're doing something, especially children. Don't sit there and tell a parent that they shouldn't do that for their kid because you have no idea if that child has diabetes or not. Having that disease is hard enough, but the physical and the emotional effect that it has on that kid is detrimental. We have got to, as a society, stop judging people for what you see because you don't know what their situations are. Society is one of our worst enemies when it comes to a child with diabetes. For diabetes.org, it says it's the 11th leading cause of death in the United States. Because 1, most people don't even know they have it. Or 2, because it causes so many different things when you can't take care of it. It is a lot harder to take care of diabetes than people would think. You have to test about 8 times a day. That's taking a needle about this big and shoving it to the end of your fingers. 8 times a day. Your fingers get hit once a day with a needle. Just imagine how painful that is to write. If you're in school and have to do that and have to write, how much pain that poor kid is in. And yet some people are, oh, that person's lazy, they just don't want to do it. No, that kid isn't lazy, they're in pain. Judging people with diabetes, it's hard for a kid to not only take on the diabetes itself, to take on society, to have to prove to them that I'm somebody else. I have struggled my entire life with society and their judgmental accusations. I'm not lazy. The reason I'm as large as I am is because most diabetics have thyroid problems. If anybody doesn't know what a thyroid problem is, it's where what controls your hormones and all that kind of stuff is your thyroid. If that's not in tune, it's really hard for you to lose weight. You get really tired. You get really grumpy. And for a kid, most people, oh, that kid's just bad. No, for a diabetic, that's normal. If your blood sugars get low, that's normal. Kid gets ticked off, gets confused. You practically look like you're drunk because you can't hold your head up. You don't have the strength to do anything. I don't know how many times I've had to crawl down the stairs because there's nobody here, my blood sugar's low, and I have to make it to the fridge. But my legs won't hold me up to get down the stairs. Now imagine being 9 years old and waking up to you sweating profusely and having to get down the stairs to get what you need, and that's the only thing you can think about. Or being out in the middle of the soccer field and you come up and you tell your mom you're so tired, and your mom's like, okay, I got juice for you, but the parent next to him who has no idea who you are tells you, oh, that kid's just fat and lazy. She can't run down the field. To judge a kid is just, we've got to stop. In 2010, diabetes was the 7th leading cause of death, and that wasn't even all the deaths. About 40% of deaths in the U.S. have a different cause that isn't even written on there. And about 35 of that 45% has to do with diabetes and the complications of diabetes. When kids have diabetes, they don't want to tell others, which in turn will cause problems because they don't want to tell people what they have to do, which in turn, they don't have regulated blood sugars, which causes them to get sick. Their eyesight, their liver, their heart. Long-term effects from being scared to tell people they're not lazy, they just have diabetes. So please, the next time that you see a kid, don't accuse them of being lazy. Just ask them if they need any help.